All right, good morning, everyone. Now, wait a minute. We're a little bit early. It's not 10:30 yet.
It's 3 at.
Okay. Again, good morning. It is Wednesday, April the 5th, and it is that time that everyone looks forward to around Cordell Hull. It is time for the State Government Committee meeting. So we're going to turn our attention or direct our attention to the clerk and let him or her call the roll. Mr. Clerk.
Representatives Alexander, Beck, Bricken, Butler, Carringer, Chisholm, Dixie, Haston, Holsclaw, Hurt, Jernigan, Johnson, Leatherwood, Littleton, McCalman, Miller, Powell, Powers, Rudder, Terry, Vice Chairman Eldridge, Chairman Kiesling. Mr.
Here.
Chairman, you have a quorum.
Very good. That's great. All right. Do we have any members, any personal announcements or personal orders before we get our focus to the agenda or to the calendar? Any of that? Well, I see none. Before we go any further, though, we want to. Tomorrow is a birthday of one of our members, a very special birthday, and we want to congratulate Representative Jake McCallan on his upcoming birthday tomorrow. Jake, where are you? There he is. All right. Happy birthday, and I'm sure we're all invited down to Jake's for tomorrow afternoon. And oh boy, I bet we are. Okay. Now, what we're going to do, members, we understand, the chair understands that there's going to be folks floating in and floating out. We've got committee commitments, the chair as well. So, but with that, what we're going to do to accommodate Chairman Hicks, we're going to take our calendar out of order. And I need to direct your attention to, that would be item number 3, House Bill 1590 by Chairman Hicks. 1519. So Chairman Hicks can get over there and gavel his committee. And Chairman Hicks, you're recognized, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee.
I see no amendments. So we got a motion and a second. You're ready to go, sir.
All right, good morning, I guess I should say. Here today to present House Bill 1519 on behalf of Speaker Sexton. The purpose, let me give you a bit of context. In 2021, the General Assembly passed legislation to prohibit a member of the General Assembly from personally bidding on, selling, or offering for sale a service or having an interest in an organization that is bidding on, selling, or offering for sale a service to a state entity. So here's what this bill does. The bill adds an exception to the prohibition for members of the General Assembly if the bidding, selling, or offering for sale by an organization they have an interest in is held as an investment with a federally chartered bank or state chartered bank, or a share in a mutual fund, or held as a security in a business enterprise listed on the New York Stock Exchange, or the NASDAQ, and the holding represents less than 5% of the outstanding securities of the business enterprise. And then again, these exceptions must be disclosed, and again, it's pursuant to TCA code. So conclusion, simply put, this bill clarifies that a member can have mutual funds or investments without violating the prohibition that we passed in 2021.
Okay, very good. Chairman, any questions to the chairman? We have a call for the question on the bill. So we will begin our vote. Those in favor of House Bill 1519, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, like sign. Ayes have it. Success, and get out of here.
All
get
right, thank you,
over.
Mr. Chairman. Thank you, committee.
We'll see you in a little bit. There's some more of us that's going to visit you in a few minutes. Now we're going next.
Make sure you say it's going to calendar.
Well, it's going to calendar and rules, by the way. He's already gone. But anyway, for the record, House Bill 1519 is headed to calendar and rules. Now, as accommodation for Chairman Hicks, he needs Chairman Moon over there as quick as he can get him over there. So we're going to also take this one out of order. Attention, members, we're going to now move to item number 4, House Bill. It'll be House Bill 23. We got a motion, do we not, and a second? That's great. And I see, Chairman, that you've got an amendment here.
Yes,
Would
sir.
you please give us the tracking code, please?
5885, Mr. Chairman.
That corresponds. That's correct. So, that's great. Thank you. We got a motion and a second on Amendment 5885. Those in favor, please say aye. Opposed, like sign. Ayes have it. It is now on House Bill 23. Chairman Moon, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee. The amendment makes the bill. This has to do with posting of agendas, either on the website or 48 hours prior to the meeting at the place like LEAs do for school board meetings. And this came out because of a rezoning issue, and the citizens said that they did not know what that was going to be on the meeting. And this has to do with regular meetings of a county legislative body, as metropolitan council or a city council. So this bill requires that you put it on the website or you post it 48 hours before. Just the agenda, that's all. And I think probably 97% of these organizations do that now. It's just for those one or two.
Very good. Thank you, sir, for that explanation. See, the Senate's addressing it today, right now, are they not?
I believe so,
They're
Mr.
going
Chairman.
to, I think. That's my notations. All right, any questions? Yes, we do. Representative Powell, you are recognized. To the chairman.
Oh, sorry.
Whoop. I'm sorry, we made a... Who? Representative Terry?
Terry.
Terry, yes, Terry, Representative Chairman. Go right ahead. All right.
Right.
I saw.
Right.
I apologize. My
Thank
fault.
you.
My bad. Go, sir.
So what happens if there's an emergency meeting and it's within that 48-hour window?
Well, 55105 of the code deals with special call meetings of the commission, and it's very, very clear in Title V in that chapter that the agenda there is listed in notices given in the newspaper of general circulation, and the commission or council cannot deviate from that agenda. They have to carry out that agenda. Anything else brought up in that meeting is invalid.
Chairman Terry.
But I guess my question to you is, can the locals call a special meeting, like, the next day, and obviously they're within that 48-hour window? Can they call a meeting that quick? And if so, how would this impact it?
Let me interrupt. If there's no objection, we're going to go out of question. We're going to go out of session, please, and direct our attention to legal. Mr. Mundy.
Thank you, Matt Mundy from Legal. The Title V applies to county legislative bodies, not cities and metros. But
Title
in
VI.
general, the open meeting laws require notice of special meetings that are called. This wouldn't apply to special meetings within that 48 hours window. What the law would require was adequate public notice, which means as soon as they could, if it's within that 48-hour window, they'd probably have to notice it as soon as they could, and most likely either on the website or in a newspaper of general circulation in the county.
Back to you, Chairman Terry. Follow up? Okay. Chairman Moon, anything to add before we go back into session wait a minute. Well, any follow up? Chairman Moon, look at me. Any follow up to legal?
This bill amends Title VIII, which is open meetings. The other Title V is counties, and Title VI is cities. And those 5 and 6 deal with special call meetings. This addresses regular meetings, which normally counties or cities do an advertisement at the beginning of the year saying this body will meet the third Thursday of the month or the second Tuesday of the month for the whole year. And that requires the notice of the meeting. But in code right now, there's no requirement in code for the agenda of a regular meeting to be posted anywhere.
Chairman Bricken, I think you have a question to legal. To legal, sir. You're recognized.
I agree. If this legislation would pass, I know in the 2 cities that I represent, the city council, by 2/3 vote, can change the agenda at the night of the meeting. How would this legislation affect that?
Mr. Monday.
Well, this is a statute of general application. It would supersede any local ordinance or resolution on that point.
Follow up, Chairman. He says no. Chairman Moon, while we're still out, you're recognized.
Well, Section 2 of this amendment of the bill, a local government legislative body may deliberate or act upon matters not listed in the agenda if the local government legislative body follows its bylaws or properly adopts rules and procedures and complies with all of the applicable state laws. So if your city council or county commission has provision in their bylaws, they can suspend the rules by a 2/3 vote and take something up. This provides for that in this bill.
Very good. Any further questions to legal? None. No objection. We are now back in session. Any follow-up questions to the sponsor? We got a call for the question. Therefore, there is no debate there. We're ready to vote. Those in favor, please say aye. Those opposed, like sign. Ayes have it. And Chairman Moon, you are now headed, your bill prevails, and you're headed to calendar and rules, sir. Congratulations. Get over there. We want to thank Leader Lambert for his patience. And Leader Lambert, you are, we're now going to look to you to bring us to speed on item number 1, House Bill 328, sir. Got a motion. We have a second. Leader, you have an amendment. Please give us that track code.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. And with this amendment, the tracking code, should be tracking code 6794.
Correct. All right. Got a motion. Yes, thank you for that. We got a motion and a second on Amendment 6794. Let's get it on the bill. Those in favor, please say aye. Those opposed, like sign. Ayes have it. It is now on House Bill 328. Leader Lambert.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. For many years, we've had a revolving loan fund out there for small communities, mainly for water infrastructure, some sewer projects, that type of thing. We have small communities in our state that really struggle with equipping their first responders, having up-to-date fire coats and equipment for their firefighters, having up-to-date medical supplies for their EMS folks, quite frankly, having up-to-date equipment for their police officers so that they can be safe and so that they can serve us. So what this would strive to do, it's the Tennessee Local Development Authority Public Safety Protection Act of 2023, which doesn't fit well on the letterhead, but it will help significantly these small communities, because my hope is to get $50 million of one-time funds out of the budget. And I'm going to be talking to Chairman Hicks, whom y'all were so kind of earlier, on trying to get that money in the budget. Because if we can set $50 million aside for decades to come, we will have small communities that can access a low-interest revolving fund loan where they pay it back to us as the state, but they're able to access that at a much lower rate than what the bond market or a traditional loan or anything would really permit for. And so that's what this bill does with this amendment, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Leader. And I know across the Great 38, our House district, it is going to be quite welcome if we can get this through. So anyway, further to the question, any questions to the sponsor? Got a call for the question on the bill. That puts us in posture to vote. Those in favor of House Bill 328 as amended, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, like sign. The ayes have it. And House Bill 328, Leader, is headed to Finance.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I have another bill up today, but Leader Camper will be presenting that bill, and I hope y'all give it serious consideration. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Of course. Absolutely. Thank you, sir. All right, Leader Camper, House Bill, your item number 2, is that correct? House Bill 317, is that correct?
Yes, it is, Mr. Chairman.
Very good. Welcome.
Thank you.
You look great in blue, I must say. Lovely. I mean that.
Thank
really.
you, Mr.
Seriously.
Chairman. You
All right,
sound like
we
my
have
mom.
a motion. Leader, we have a motion for you and a second. And there are no amendments, members, so Leader, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members. Let me first just take a moment to thank all of my friends on this committee. It's good to see you all. I don't get to come before this committee that often, but I'm glad to present this bill to you, so I really appreciate the opportunity to be here. What this bill
thank you.
does is, thank you, Mr. Chairman. What this bill does is it moves our observance of Juneteenth to a state holiday. So in 1865, about 2,000 Union soldiers arrived in Galveston, Texas, to announce to the over 250,000 enslaved black people in that state that they had been freed by executive order. And it took another 2 years for Abraham Lincoln to push through the 13th Amendment for people to actually get their complete freedom, and slavery was abolished at that point. So what this would do, a couple years ago, we passed a bill to authorize Juneteenth to be a state observance, and so what this bill would do would just make it a state holiday. So thank you, Mr. Chairman and members.
Thank you. All right. Questions to the sponsor? Got a call for the question, didn't we? Yeah, okay. So we're ready to vote. Those in favor of House Bill 317, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, like sign. Ayes have it. Leader, you are headed off. That prevails, and you are heading on to finance. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, which I need to get to
Alrighty.
right now. Thank you,
Yeah.
committee. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much. We're going to go quickly out of order because of the need of Chairman Powers over in another committee. So, Chairman, let's direct our attention. He's got to go quickly here. What number is that?
Number 8.
Number 8. Members, let's flip on over to number 8, item 8. That's House Bill 1247. And we have a motion. We do. Got a second. All right. You have got an amendment or two amendments, Chairman?
Just one amendment.
You
that
have one amendment.
replaces
Give us that tracking code, sir.
7028.
That is correct. That corresponds. So we got a motion on the amendment. We do. We got a motion on amendment and a second. Let's get this on the bill. Those in favor of Amendment 7028, please say aye. Those opposed, like sign. Ayes have it. It is now on to House Bill. We've got, okay. It is now on to House Bill 1247, Chairman Powers, and I just see where the Senate took action to defer. Can you explain, give us a...
Oh, I didn't.
Were you aware of that,
No,
sir?
I was not aware of that.
Okay.
To roll it to next year, or? Okay.
That is to you, your decision, sir.
Well, in that response, I will roll it to
Okay,
first
sure.
available calendar.
Of course.
next
Thank
year.
you very much. I appreciate that.
Okay.
With that, it will be item number 8, House Bill 1247 will be rolled to the first calendar, 2024. So, with that, Chairman Powers can remain with us. Congratulations, Chairman Powers,
I've got to head out.
for sticking around here with us, or do you have to go? Maybe you do have to go. Okay, let's go back to item number, on your calendar, item number 5, House Bill 975, and Representative Glenn, I see no amendments. You've got a motion and a second, sir. You are now recognized on House Bill 975.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. The aim of this bill is to allow teachers to return to substitute teach without affecting their pension. Right now, they can teach for 120 days a year after they retire without affecting their pension. This allows them to go beyond 120 days. So right now, if someone is a retired teacher who wants to be a substitute teacher and be paid as a substitute teacher, which is significantly less than what they get paid now, they are limited to only 120 days. All this legislation would do is allow those retired teachers to not be limited to that 120 days. I think this is something that the teachers want back in the class. I think this is something for those teachers who want to be back in the classroom, but not necessarily want to be part of the whole lesson plan, but also want to continue to be a part of the school community and contribute to their community. And with that, I'll take any questions.
Okay, thank you, Representative Glenn. Yes, all right, so Chairman Rickett, you're recognized to the chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If a teacher goes back and currently teaches beyond the 120 days, how exactly is their retirement affected? I mean, it doesn't sound like it should be negative, but I'm just curious. So what was the purpose of this 120 days to begin with?
Representative Glenn?
So what the 120 days does, it allows them, it doesn't affect their pension. They're able to continue on with their pension as is, and they do not have to go back and refile for retirement and all that again. It just keeps them in the system with their pension without affecting it.
Chairman Brigham.
So currently, if they work more than 120 days, they have to go notify Treasury about they're working this long, or someone notifies Treasury and their pension is affected?
Representative Glenn?
No, sir. The previous bill only allowed them to teach for 120 days. And so this one will allow them to extend beyond 120 days with the same formula that was already in place for the 120 days.
Last question.
Okay, you're recognized, Chairman Brick.
You have any background on why the 120-day substitute limitation was ever put in place to begin with?
Representative Glenn.
Mr. Chairman, if I could.
Sure, we can. I think legal. Yeah, if there's no objection, we'll go out of session and direct our attention to legal. Mr. Mundy, you recognize.
Thank you, Matt Mundy for legal. Give me just 1 second. I'm going to pull up some documents so I have some notes on this. This actually goes back to 2017 was the first time we passed a bill that allowed the reemployment of retirees for purposes of teaching, and it was only a 90-day period, and they could maintain their retirement. And then in 2022, Representative Alexander sponsored HB 2783, which was passed to provide for the reemployment of K through 12 teachers, substitute teachers, and bus drivers, and removed. And this bill, it came with. That bill, HB 2783, came with certain conditions. There was an increase from 90 to 120 days, but you had to certify that there was no one else at all that could fill that substitute teaching position. There's also a 1-year work period. Some of these, what Representative Glenn's bill does is it removes some of these conditions to make it easier for them to work for a longer period of time to meet those needs that are out there. But the genesis of it all, going back to 17, was I presume that there was some need that needed to be met.
Still is.
Chairman Brickett,
I'm
back to
fine, thank
legal.
you.
Okay. Chairman Hurt, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And this
To
is-
legal now. To legal?
No, sir. Sorry.
Oh, okay. All right. Any further questions to legal? I see none. No objection. We are back in session. Chairman Hurt, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to take a second. This is not as much on the bill, but it's the first time Representative Glenn's been before me in a committee. And those of y'all that don't know, we both grew up going to Halls High School playing football and baseball together. So I just want to tell him it's great to see you here, and it's an honor to serve with you, and look forward to moving forward with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman.
All right. Well, that was very nice, wasn't it, Representative Glenn?
It was. Thank you,
Very
Mr.
good.
Chairman.
All right. Okay, we're going to go right now. Representative Powell, you recognize.
I'm curious now if that's why we have a problem finding substitute teachers, because students like yourselves. But no, I appreciate the bill. I know in my district there's a huge need for substitutes, and if we can get teachers back in the classroom and they already have the knowledge and the skill set, it's a great bill, and hopefully this will be the last time we need to make this adjustment. But appreciate the bill.
All right. Further questions, and it should be noted, and not trying to throw a negative on this, but Pensions in Council did give it a negative recommendation. That's just an FYI to any That is noted on your calendar. Further questions to the sponsor? Okay, whoa. Chairman Jernigan, you are recognized.
And this is more just a comment on pensions and insurance. When if it's a we need a change in the rules. If it's a tie, that it'd be a no recommendation, because right now if you it's a positive you get it, negative, but if it's a tie, they say it's negative, and I think we need to change that in the future to say no recommendation.
Yeah. Okay. So noted. Thank you. But anyway, the chair felt like that should be noted. Okay. Yes, Representative Dixie, you're recognized.
I'd like to call the question.
Yeah, all right. Question has been called. No objection. All right. Let us vote. That puts us in a posture of voting. Those in favor of House Bill 975, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, like sign. Ayes have it. And Representative Glenn, you are now with House Bill 975. You're headed on to finance, sir. Congratulations.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, members.
Thank you, sir. Item number 6, House Bill 1230 by Representative Hemmer. Representative Hemmer, you are, well, we need a motion in a second. Let's get it on there. And we see that you have an amendment, sir. Please give us the tracking code.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It is drafting code 006495.
That is incorrect. No, I'm sorry. That is correct. Forgive me. That is correct. Okay, do we have a motion? Let's get it on the bill. Do we have a motion and a second? Good. We got a motion and a second. Let's vote. Those in favor of Amendment 6495, please say aye. Those opposed, like sign. Ayes have it. Representative Hammer, it is now on your bill, House Bill 1230. You're recognized, sir.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. No, there's not many things we can agree on a lot of times, but many, if not most Americans find going back and forth between daylight savings times and standard times twice a year to be extremely disruptive. So going back and forth is actually very unhealthy and puts us at risk for heart attacks, sleep loss, and car accidents, etc. So we can end daylight saving times without waiting for the federal government to pass legislation, which is what this bill is about. It's been extremely gridlocked in D.C. around this, as well as many other items. So the way we can do this is do what Arizona, Hawaii have done and opt out of daylight savings time and go to year-round standard time. So more than 20 medical, scientific, and civic organizations support eliminating daylight savings time and going to a year-round standard time, including the AMA, American Academy of Sleep Medicine, and the National Safety Council. So while Tennessee did pass a year-round daylight savings time bill in 2019, the 2019 legislation requires federal action to take effect. So our proposed legislation can actually coexist with the 2019 bill, and it does not require federal action. So this bill creates a regional approach, and the bill as amended adds the southeastern states, and we added, based on the subcommittee's feedback, added Missouri and Virginia to those states as well, so all the contiguous states to Tennessee. And then lastly, we have had some questions in subcommittee around how this could affect. So the various emailed right before the committee, if you have your iPads, a chart in our be able to talk about it a little bit. It'll have the winter daylight savings times that would daylight saving time sunrises that would occur, and also the spring summer sunsets. I know the chairman asked that. It shows kind of the different approaches and how that would be in your specific areas. And then lastly, we actually do have a sleep medicine physician and expert on this subject here from Vanderbilt who has brought me this bill. It's Dr. Beth Mallow, and if the committee would be so inclined, I'd love to give her a few moments to explain this.
Of course, we can. If there's no objections, we will go out of session. Dr. Beth, we're going to ask you to step up to the batter's box. I think you know the routine by now. Make sure the red light is on. Scoot up or bring it closer to you, because the chairman is hard of hearing sometimes, Dr. Beth. And at this point in time, would you please identify yourself? And again, tell us who you're with. You're recognized. And we will give you 3 minutes. So make those 3 minutes magical for us, if you would.
I will do my best. Thank you. I really appreciate it. I'm Dr. Beth Mallow. I'm a practicing neurologist. I'm the director of the Vanderbilt Sleep Division, although my views expressed do not necessarily reflect those of my employer. They reflect my own. Okay. Chairman Kiesling, Vice Chair Eldridge, distinguished members of this committee, thank you so much for allowing me to testify in support of House Bill 1230. As Caleb Hemmer mentioned, we don't want to go back and forth. It's very annoying. A lot of people are tired of it, and it does have health consequences. But then we have to figure out where we're going to land, right? And I want to make an argument from a health perspective on why standard time year-round is the healthier choice. It all comes down to light. Morning light is optimized by standard time. Morning light is healthier because it aligns our brains and bodies with the outside world. It wakes us up, it boosts our mood, it allows us to be more productive. It fights heart disease, depression, diabetes, obesity, and it helps us handle any curveballs that life throws at us a little better. And we've had a bunch of those lately. Now, like many of you, we did send around a chart about sunsets. I really like when it's light at the end of the day after work. That's really important to me. And with year-round standard time, it would still be light fairly late in the day in the spring and summer. We're looking at 8 p.m. or later sunsets in East Tennessee and 7 p.m. or later sunsets in most of the rest of the state. So we'd be able to go outside and play with our kids after work and still get them to bed at a good hour. Now, in contrast, year-round daylight saving time would add morning darkness to winter months, particularly in the eastern part of our state, Knoxville, Chattanooga, Johnson City. We'd be looking at sunrises close to 9 a.m. in January, and that's really late. And okay, thank you. Our kids start school before 8 a.m., so they'd be going to school in the dark. We tried this in 1974, and it was very unpopular and repealed. So I really urge you to not just think about standard time for our state, but we could be a leader in the rest of the region in ending the outdated ritual of changing our clocks. Thank you very much for your time.
Well, thank you, Dr. Beth. Any questions to our speaker? Yes, we do. Chairman Terry, you're recognized.
Thank you for coming, and thank you for talking to us today. Are there any studies that you know? My understanding is every time zone, in theory, is supposed to be every 15 degrees. And if you go by that, almost all of Tennessee should be Eastern time zone. Are there any studies on how changing off of daylight savings time, if with the 15-degree change, if we were all Eastern time, how it would affect that's currently Central?
Doctor, you're recognized.
Yeah, thank you for that question. So the time zones can be a little bit complicated. I think the challenge with us all being on Eastern time zone, I like the idea of everybody being on the same time zone in Tennessee, but that would make it even darker for parts that are on the Central time zone right now. We're in some ways protected, Nashville and other parts of our state, by being on Central. So when you're on Eastern, you're on the western edge of the time zone. And it is quite dark, as I mentioned. If you think about it and look at the graph or the chart that we sent around, we're looking at these really late sunrises in the winter, so close to 9 a.m. So I actually would not advocate for Eastern time zone if you look at the data.
Dr. Terry. Are you good? Okay. Further questions? Yes, we do. Representative Alexander, you're recognized.
I live in East Tennessee in Johnson City, and all the farmers in my area and all the UPS drivers like daylight savings time. UPS drivers at night going in, trying to deliver packages at night, stepping over stuff they don't know what they're stepping over, fearful they're going to get bit by a dog. My farmers would like to work in the fields as long as they can. So just my comments to the committee.
Sure, okay. Anyone else to Dr. Beth? Well, thank you for being with us today and scheduling that. No objection. We will go back into session. And with that, any closing remarks, Representative Hammer?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I'd like to thank Dr. Mallow and her network of sleep specialists and neurologists that have been bringing this bill. So just to clarify, this would not go into effect if this bill were to pass. But we're just trying to create a regional approach and want Tennessee to be a leader in that, where we'd go out to the surrounding states that they were to pass the same bill. Then that would then trigger the going to the standard time.
All right, questions? Yes, we do. Chairman Bricken, you're recognized.
Just a quick question. You almost touched on it. So far, no other states have passed similar legislation in our surrounding states.
Representative Hammer, recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Apologies. Thank you, Representative. Yeah, so this initiative just started this year by, again, Dr. Mallow and some of her network of physicians in other states. And so Arkansas has filed this legislation, and in Tennessee as well. And so they were just, it started here, and they wanted to start this initiative here and see how it could spread in other states.
Chairman Bricken, follow up.
Just because, if the other states do it, won't they also have to wait for their contiguous states to also do it? So it's kind of like a long-term rollout that may never get to the finish line, but I don't know.
Representative Hammer, would you object? Let's go out of session for just a moment. Turn our attention to legal, and let's see if we can get an answer here. Mr. Mundy, you recognized.
Thank you. I remember this going back to when Representative Tillis passed this law 3 or 4 or 5 years ago. It's an interesting issue federally because what Congress did was they said that any state can go either entirely or in part, depending on if they're split, like Tennessee is down the middle in 2 time zones, they can go to standard time. You can just, the state can adopt a law and go to standard time. And that's what Utah and, I think Arizona, and Hawaii have done. But to go to daylight savings time, you can't do that by state law. You have to actually have, Congress has to amend or repeal the statute. And then the Secretary of the U.S. Department of Transportation has to certify to our speakers that that law has changed before we can move the entire state to daylight savings time. So his bill would require the other states to go to standard time first before Tennessee would go to standard time. Tennessee can go to standard time right now, but I think his concept is to have, for purposes of interstate commerce, to have a regional approach to it. But there's not some kind of, kind of, like you said, a process where state by state by state, they would be expanding out from Tennessee. Any state can go to standard time right now if they want to.
Follow up, Chairman Brick. No, he says no, Representative Powell. Well, too legal, Representative Powell.
I do. Just for clarification, did you say that only applies to states that are split, that have 2 time zones?
Mr. Mundy.
Either a state that's only in 1 time zone, like Arizona and Hawaii, can take the entire state to standard time, or if you're in Tennessee, you can make the entire state standard time, or you could just say the Eastern time zone is standard time and let the West, toggle back and forth between daylight saving time and standard time. So really, the state has flexibility when it comes to standard time, but it doesn't have any flexibility when it comes to daylight savings time.
Representative Powell, follow up. No, he says no. I'm sorry, Representative Beck. You're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Mundy, the Tillis bill, if I remember correctly, was asking that we all go to daylight savings time. Is that correct?
Representative Mundy, or
Mr.
Mundy.
Representative Tillis' bill is codified in 41401, and it says that the entire state shall observe daylight savings time upon Congress amending or repealing 15 U.S.C. 260A, which is the provision we were talking about before, and then also that the Secretary of Transportation certifying to our speakers that action has been taken. So Representative Tillis' bill would apply, taking the entire state to daylight savings time. That is the law currently. We will go to daylight savings time if Congress acts.
Representative Beck.
Very good, which would be just the opposite of what this bill is, correct?
What, Mr.
That's
Mundy?
correct.
Thank you.
Okay, he says thank you. And that close. Okay. Yes, of course. Chairman Jernigan, you're recognized.
So this, if this passes, does it wipe off the books Tillis's bill?
Mr. Mundy.
It does two things. It does replace that section where Representative Tillis's bill went into the code. It has to because they would be in conflict with each other. But it's not triggered immediately by Congress taking any action. It's triggered by what the surrounding states touching Tennessee does.
So if Congress did get their act together and they did pass something, though, it eliminates the trigger.
Mr. Mundy.
If this bill passes, if Congress does something, we can't go to daylight savings time. We can now under existing law, but if this passed and they allow the state the flexibility to go on to daylight savings time, that provision of 401 would go away.
Okay, thanks.
All right. He says that finishes him up. Any further questions to legal? No. No objection. We are now back in session. Woo, we've taken in a lot of info here. Any closing remarks? Representative Hammer, other than please vote for this, right?
Please, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Please vote for this.
All right. Hear a call for the question? Yes, we have it. We're ready to vote. Those in favor of House Bill 1230 as amended, please say aye. Those opposed, like sign.
No.
I'm sorry, the noes have it. It does not prevail. But thank you for your time, Representative Hammer, and Dr. Beth, thank you for your time. The chair is going, we're going to have to go out of session for just 1 minute and switch chairs here. I've got to present a bill in another committee. So thank you all very much. It's been a great year. I've enjoyed it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're back in session, and next up is item number 7, SJR 4. It's being brought to us today by Representative Fritz. Representative Fritz, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good morning. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen of the committee. I bring you this resolution to recognize the 75th anniversary of the nation of Israel. This is important to us, I think, for several reasons. Honoring Israel's 75th anniversary, historically, the United States has been Israel's strongest ally. We were the first nation to recognize the State of Israel in 1948, and the first nation to recognize Jerusalem as their capital in 2017. Israel plays a key role in U.S. foreign policy in the Middle East and has been our staunchest ally in the region. Our relationship with Israel benefits us economically as well. In 2019, the U.S. exported goods to Israel worth $14.7 billion. An estimated $5.7 billion in services were exported. Tennessee also has a strong relationship with Israel. In 1996, Governor Sundquist signed the Tennessee-Israel Cooperation Agreement, which promotes cooperation in trade, arts, culture, education, tourism, and university industry alliances. Since the signing of this agreement, Tennessee's exports to Israel have totaled more than $1.2 billion. With that, Mr. Chairman, I will ask your support on this bill and field any questions.
Are there any questions of the sponsor? Questions been called? All in favor of SJR 4, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Sir, you move out to calendar and rules.
Thank you, Chairman and Committee.
Thank you. We've already dealt with item number 8, so we'll move on to item number 9, which is House Bill 1072 by Chairman Hastings.
Thank you, Mr.
Chairman,
Chairman.
you're recognized.
I do have an amendment with this that rewrites the bill, 006503.
It doesn't indicate here that it rewrites the
Oh,
bill.
okay.
Um,
I'll be glad to
There's
explain
two
the bill then.
amendments showing.
I'll be glad to explain it, and then we can tackle the amendment.
Okay, all right. Are we talking about 6503 on the
Yes.
amendment?
Yes, it just establishes that the grant is for 75,000 total dollars.
Okay, all right. All right, we have a motion and a second on the amendment. And do we want to hear the other amendment and then roll them into one, put them on the bill? Okay.
This will be the only amendment we're going
Okay.
with.
Can we? Oh, you're not going with the other one? Okay, all right, so we're at 6503, and we do have a motion and a second. You've heard the explanation. Is there any questions for the sponsor? 65?
No, he's on 65.
03.
That's the one that, yeah, that's the one.
Yep.
that's the 75.
Okay. All right, we do have a motion and a second on that amendment, and we're voting to add this amendment to the bill. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. The amendment is on your bill, sir. And if you would, please give us an explanation.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Most of you are familiar with the Veterans Honor Guard and probably seen them perform their duties at veteran cemeteries, funeral services, flag dedications, Memorial Day, Veterans Day events. Most of them operate on a very bare bones budget that's funded off of fundraisers and donations. This bill establishes a Veterans Honor Guard grant program that would simply allow for the Honor Guard groups to apply for grant funds to reimburse fuel costs associated with the duties that they perform. With that, I'll be glad to answer any questions.
You've heard the explanation. Representative Beck.
Sponsor, I see fiscal review has not recalculated the note that they put on here, so.
Chairman Hastings.
Well, currently there is the $75,000 cost of just the grant, but it was also recommended from the department that they would need a new employee to run the grant program. So that's still on there as of right now.
Just ridiculous, just ridiculous. I mean, that you would think you would have to have a full-time person to run this little grant program is just mind-boggling.
All right. Chairman Powers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, sponsor. Great bill. I was just wondering, the $75,000, that's total for the whole state. Is that correct, that amount?
Chairman, you're recognized.
Thank you for the question. The best that we could estimate, it looks like there's only about 70 to 76 honor guards. We're still, I had two amendments filed, one that was a reimbursement of $1,000 per honor guard to hopefully see if we could get the research to figure out how many. But it looks like it's around 70 to 76, maybe. If it ends up being 76 and this somehow gets funded down the line, we might have to come back and up it by $1,000 next year, so it's an even $1,000. But this was the amendment we had ready to go. But it's basically, it's just a $75,000 total grant. I have a Veterans Honor Guard group in Henderson County, and I've been to a few of their meetings. The last meeting I attended, the first announcement the treasurer made was that people needed to start putting some money in the coffee can or they wouldn't have coffee at the next meeting. And so they go to about 100 events a year, work with 4-H groups, and do a lot for families. If y'all seen them, performing taps or the Battlefield Cross ceremony. And I just think it's the least that we could do to help them fund some of their gas, some of their travel expenses during the year.
Chairman Powers.
Yes, and thank you for bringing. I've got two in my district, and they do a great job, and they go to hundreds of funerals every year. The only thing I didn't like about your bill, I wish we could put more money in it, because I know how much they struggle even to get a van to drive or to get a lot of the other equipment that they need. So I appreciate you bringing the bill, and hopefully we can come back next year and ask for more money.
Thank you.
All right. Chairman Haston?
I renew
All
my
right.
motion.
Chair Lady Littleton?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm looking at the fiscal note. So if it's $75,000 per person, so the rest of that money is for someone to take care of that money and distribute it?
Chairman?
Thank you for the question. Now, the $75,000 is for each honor guard group. And
Right.
so that would be about $1,000 per honor guard group if each of them maxed out their gas reimbursement. The other part of the fiscal note was the position that they had been recommended that they would have to hire to run the grant program.
Chair Lady?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So that's going to be a full-time job just to take care of that $75,000?
Chairman?
That's above my pay grade.
I love, I love the program. I love what you're doing, but will they be doing anything else other than taking care of that $75,000?
Chairman?
Thank you for the question. I'm not exactly sure about what the position would entail or what else they would need to do. I do know and I know it's different departments, but we did pass the SRO grant fund, or the SRO grant that was a $30 million grant a couple years ago. I don't think that the Department of Education had to put anybody in place to run that grant, but they have some existing personnel there that was already handling grants, so they may not have somebody that handles this at that department. So I'm at kind of the mercy of fiscal review on that.
Chair Lady?
Okay, the new fiscal note was on the Mark calendar, and I don't have it, so it's only $75,000 is the fiscal note. I was looking at dashboard and not the Mark calendar, so. So we've gone through all of this for nothing, but I do appreciate you bringing this bill, and I'm proudly going to vote for it.
Okay. Chairman? Representative Powell, did you have your hand up there first?
I did, Mr. Chairman. And just a reminder to members, I don't know if this is official rule, but it's kind of been the policy since I've been here, is, for us to let fiscal review handle that issue, but for us to vote for this on the policy merits, and I hope all my colleagues will vote for this, because it's good policy, and we'll let them decide whether or not they want to fund it. But I appreciate the bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Chairman, you have a comment there? Well, I've got a couple of hands up, Chairman. Chair Lady Alexander.
Thank you, Chairman. I just want to tell you I love this bill. Thank you very, very much. Being an owner of a funeral home, what these guys do for us day in and day out is huge, and we just thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Representative Beck, did you have your hand up there a moment ago?
I did, Mr. Chair, but it was a discrepancy on what's on our iPad that it still says fiscal notes 125, and on the sheet it says 75. So I guess it did get reduced.
Okay. All right. Chairman Haston.
I believe that from the conversations, it looks like that's happened up there, that may have been reduced down to just the 75,000 currently. So I had not been given update. I didn't know whether or not that amendment would overwrite the original bill's fiscal note or not. So it looks like, from what I'm being told, that it is 75,000 total right now.
Very glad about that. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you. Chairman Terry.
Thank you, and appreciate you bringing the bill. Great bill, and just for the members here, we'll be supporting your bill. For the members in the committee, if you would like to sign on, we have a sign-on sheet.
Thank you.
All right. Any further comment?
Just one more.
All right. Chairman Jernigan.
Just one more. Just a reminder, as someone who's sat on fiscal review for years, you get one appeal. All of us gets one appeal in the rules. So if you wanted to appeal this fiscal review, because I clearly think they can do this within existing resources. So that may be a consideration you want to think about.
Thank you. Any other comments? Yeah. Question has been called. All in favor of House Bill 1072 as amended, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All ayes have it. And you will move out to Finance, Ways and Means.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee.
Thank you. All right. All right, next up is item number 10, House Bill 1024, and it is off notice. Next, we have item number 11, House Bill 1025 by Representative Butler. We have a motion and a second, and Representative, I see that you do have an amendment. There's actually showing a couple of them. Are you going with amendment number 2, 7230 on the tracking code?
Yes, Chairman, 7230.
All right. This does rewrite the bill. We've got a motion. Do we have a second? We've got a second on the amendment. If you don't care, we'll go ahead and add this to the bill. All in favor of adding amendment number 2, tracking code 7230 to the bill, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. Sir, your bill, you're recognized on your bill as amended.
Thank you, Chairman. This bill creates the Tennessee Monuments and Memorials Commission that would be tasked with handling any waiver request for any historical monuments or other artifacts or so forth to be taken down or changed, modified, etc. And it further appoints a 9-member commission, which are appointed by the governor, lieutenant governor, and speaker of the House. And each one of those members would serve a 4-year, 3-year, or a 2-year term, which will be decided by their appointees. It further clarifies that the Department of Environment Conservation, which this falls under, would use the current staffing under the Tennessee Historical Commission to fulfill the obligations of this new commission. And with that, I will stand for questions and renew my motion.
All right, you've heard the explanation, and we have up Chair Lady Rudder. Call for question. Without objection, we're voting on House Bill 1025. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? No. The ayes have it. You're moving on out to Gov Ops.
Thank you, committee.
And ladies and gentlemen, that completes our calendar for today. Take a motion to adjourn. So, we're adjourned.
Subject to the call of the chair.
This was our final calendar, so we are closed, subject to the call of the chair.